I'm hoping that this video will act as some sort of motivation for me today because I am struggling big time. Just trying to get energy and it's rough. And days be like that sometimes though. Um, since this channel is primarily, I've said that this is like a hybrid channel. You know, it's got some fitness stuff on there, but eventually, I'd love to transition to where it's just about, the glory stories, the interviews, putting the focus on other people as opposed to just, being about me. But got to do some stuff to get it off the ground. Um, so while we wait for episode 3, I guess I'll give a little bonus episode here. Not that anybody would, you know, I guess people might be interested in my story. I don't know, but anyways, bonus bonus glory story. Yeah, me. Yeah, I'm gonna get mine out of the way so I don't have to talk about it again. Um, where did my fitness journey start? Where did all this uh, come about? I don't even know if I've shared this with like close friends or not. So this might be fresh to a lot of people, which is good. It's what I want. Uh, my journey started, the origins of it as an athlete. Being a high school, I played football, I played baseball, and I also had the chance to play both of those in college as well. But I, I guess it became more of a, I'm not going to say a hobby, but it became more of a lifestyle. Um, Thanksgiving Day, 2012. In 2012, I was a redshirt freshman at Henderson State, and we were in the first week of the uh, Division Two national champion playoffs. I think that's how you say it. But we were in the playoffs, and it was Thursday. That morning we had practice that morning, and in the afternoon, around noontime or so, the city of Arkadelphia uh, fed us, and people from all over the city, brought in food, and man, it was a feast, and players were there with their families, you got to visit with your teammates, you had football just all over, projector screens in there. I mean, it was a great way to spend an afternoon. At night, some of the guys went out with their families or went out with, teammates' families. My brother at the time, who was a coach, he went out with either somebody, like guys on the staff, or I'm not really sure what he did. So like he was he was unavailable. I was struggling at the time with really. I've said this in videos before. I was a runt fullback. I was small, especially compared to the guys that were in front of me. And I signed as a running back, but I just wasn't. I didn't have it. I was just the guys that were in front of me there. They were just miles ahead development wise, especially from a schematic standpoint, understanding the offensive scheme and everything. And I was also going to easily be out recruited as well if I'd have stayed at running back. So I was given the opportunity to move to fullback, and they didn't say this, like these weren't the actual words said. It's just the action of me being moved is what said this. This is your chance to have a part on this team. You either do what you got to do to make the most of it, and you might get some playing time. You might. Or you can cry about it and quit and go on doing something else, plain and simple. Well, I struggled with with being a fullback early on because I was smaller. I wasn't going to get a lot of playing time. I knew that. It was going to be a challenge, man. But I wasn't going to quit. Don't and trust me. Like I had those thoughts, and flirted with that idea from time to time. I think if you play college athletics, and you have things not really going the way that you would want them to go, that thought, if you're an athlete and you've experienced that, correct, you could be an athlete and not experience that, you'd be lying if you said you never thought of quitting for whatever reason. But I never did. I didn't get a lot of reps in practice either, especially like in season, because where I got reps and where I was able to just showcase like what ability I had. I could either do it on scout team offense from time to time, and that's if the team we were simulating didn't have a bigger fullback. Like if we were playing like a Harding or something, maybe I get some reps at fullback, because we didn't run the triple in high school, but we ran a double wing offense, and so it's kind of similar to what they were doing. So I might be able to give a look there, or on a special team. So like if we were doing like scout kickoff or scout punt or something like that, I could give an effort look then. You don't necessarily need to simulate what the guys look like on those things. You just need to bust your butt and make the guys that are preparing for the game just work. And I could also do the same thing in the weight room. So any kind of in season, midweek workouts we might have, or 5 a.m. workouts that we had, that if you weren't dressing out for the game that weekend, you pretty much had to be there at this. And those were wild, man, wild, absolutely wild sessions. Well, I knew I didn't want to do all that forever. I wanted to play. I wanted to contribute in a game, and I didn't get a lot of that. So I knew that in order for me to have that opportunity, in order for me to just sniff that opportunity, I was going to have to change some things and it wasn't like I was living right. It wasn't like I wasn't living right, like there was more time in the day for me to dedicate myself to my craft. So the 2012 season, in the regular season, we went undefeated. I got a ring from it. We won conference. Like you look at it, if you weren't there during that, and you see the achievement of it all, you think like, wow, he was, like it's easy for somebody to say like, yeah, you did your part, but like I wasn't fulfilled with the part that I did do, and because I wasn't getting what I was setting out to get, so I was hungry. And that's not like a Thanksgiving pun or anything, but like I was hungry, like I was starving for just some kind of opportunity. So on Thanksgiving Day 2012, I'm sitting in the lobby of my dorm building. I'm the only one in there. Like there's no sound. It's just you can hear like the hum of the lights. You can hear the heat kicking on every now and then. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just kind of thinking to myself like, what can I do? Because I was consumed by this. I was consumed. I was borderline. I was upset. I was obsessed. It was the most important thing to me that I put on size, that I develop as an athlete, and that I put myself in a position to where I'm getting something for me from this college athletic experience. And so I I remembered I was sitting in the lobby of the dorm, and I said, I got to do something. I need motivation. I need motivation. I got to get going. I need something. And so I had this thought of a buddy of mine in high school, and he would walk around and he would shout, "Yeah, buddy," and he would say things like, "Ain't nothing but a peanut." I'm like, where'd that come from? And so I got on YouTube and I typed in "ain't nothing but a peanut," and all of a sudden I got a surplus of Ronnie Coleman videos at my disposal. So I watched one. I think the first one I watched was the deadlift one, where he deadlifted 800 for two. Then I watched the squat one, where he squatted 800 for two. I watched like the day in the life, where you get to watch his 6 meals a day. He wakes up, eats egg whites, grits, and cheese after only getting like 3 hours of sleep. He eats egg whites, his grits, and then he goes and works out. He has a meal post workout where it's a shake, and then his third, fourth, and fifth meals were split up between restaurants like Outback Steakhouse and some restaurant I ain't never seen before except for in that video called Black Eyed Pea. And then there was one more. I think it was like a TGI Fridays or something. He would kind of throw in that rotation. And then at night before bed, he would drink another shake, and it'd be like 4 o'clock in the morning by the time he was done with it. And he'd get up and he'd do it all again, And I had to adopt what this guy was doing, because whatever he was doing, I'd look at it and I'm like, obviously it works. So I tried to mimic Ronnie Coleman in almost every way possible. I wasn't walking around in a high pitched voice, shouting, "Yeah, buddy," and all that stuff. But, like the mentality and everything, I had to adopt. The routine, I had to adopt. Crud, I ate like the man, like I documented whatever meals he was eating. Maybe not quite the amount he was eating, but there for a bit, best believe. Your boy was eating egg whites, grits, and cheese every morning, man. Just trying to develop some kind of habit. And then I started looking at other bodybuilders as well. Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Branch Warren, uh, Kai Green. Kai Green was a big influence for me during that period of time. Um, these guys kind of helped lay the groundwork for who I would become later on. Granted, I was never a competing bodybuilder, but it was just the lifestyle and just the that's what I was attracted to, and that's what I knew I needed to adopt if I wanted to put myself in a position for development. So Thanksgiving Day 2012, boom, I made that choice right then and there. After the season was over, I dedicated myself like twice a day working out. I would do the prescribed football workouts, and then I would go and do my own, like chest, back, your bro split in our rec center. And Christmas break, 2012. Well, you can ask my mama. She hated it. She's like, "There's something wrong with this guy." Like, I was so into it. Like, I'd get up at like 3 in the morning, work out for a couple hours, go home, eat, you know, go do like a substitute teaching gig at the high school I went to, go work out again, you know. And I mean, I was just, I didn't want to do anything but that. I didn't go out with friends. I wouldn't want to go to activities. I remember we went to like a New Year's Eve party deal with at the neighbor's house down the street, and I didn't want to be there because I knew I needed to sleep and I had to wake up to go work out. Man, I know like it was just it was a mess for and if this is not something that you're familiar with, I mean that's what obsession looked like. I was just I was so in tune with my goals that I knew exactly what I had to do. The off season in 2013 went okay. I wasn't there yet, but I was starting to develop in some areas, especially from like a schematic standpoint on offense. Like I understood things. It's like a light bulb went off in my brain, and all of a sudden, like I had a good spring game. You know, had some key blocks, scored a touchdown. Like it was, things were starting to look up. And then after that is when I had a coach tell me like I had a self-esteem issue, and then that's when a whole other wall was just completely knocked down, and I was able to develop even more after that. Because as much as that, as embarrassing as that experience was, it was necessary, and so I was able to develop as an athlete even more after that. And that's when I stumbled upon the next evolution of my athletic and fitness journey. Was I knew, because I was struggling with the Olympic lifting stuff. I was struggling with all your hang clean, power clean, all that stuff, and so I needed some help there, and I stumbled upon um, the channel for California Strength. California Strength is it's a premier Olympic lifting gym somewhere in California. I want, for some reason, San Jose sticking out, but I'm probably wrong. But California Strength, guys like Donnie Schenkel, John North, Spencer Mormon, these guys are premier guys in the American weightlifting scene during that period of time. Everything they were doing, I soaked it up. So like they had all their tutorial videos on clean, on jerk, on snap, like all your Olympic lifts, and I studied that stuff religiously, man. I needed to get better at that stuff, and so I had put some size on at that point, enough size to where I could hold my own on the field. I think around this time I was somewhere around like 210, which for me was on a 5'6" frame, like that's quite a bit. So I I put some size on, and now I needed to transition. I needed to become, I needed to work on my Olympic lifts. So I did. I became obsessed with that. And the 2013 season rolls along. I'm getting better in some areas. All of a sudden, I get to dress out for the first time. I'd been there for 2 years, and I finally got to dress out against McKendree in 2013. It was week 2, and I had a big play in that game. Had a 13-yard reception. Um, and I didn't get to dress out every game from then, but like all your home games where you can carry 3 fullbacks at a time, yeah, I got to dress for those, and it was great, man. It was phenomenal. It was everything I was setting out for the most part. It was what I was wanting out of that experience, and then things would go the way that they would go. I ended up having to medically retire in 2014. I played baseball after that for one season in 2015, and then I started working. Um, but I credit this journey of mine to those Ronnie Coleman videos, to those early like bodybuilding videos, to California Strength for just. Granted, I've never met any of these people, but just having all that stuff there, and using it as a tool to improve my journey, I'm thankful that I found all that, because it helped out a ton. And now, you know, you're looking at what 13 years straight, you know, with maybe like a 6 month gap somewhere in there. after 13 years, of just doing it, and I'm still doing it. I'm actually doing it now at a level that I mean, am I training more than I ever have? Like, session wise? No, but my my focus and my attention and my my goals and all that stuff. Like I'm locked in and I'm in tune with that stuff. Like I was at one point in time, almost able to like change into another gear with my focus and attention to things. So that's something I'm pleased with. But all that to say, that's my glory story. And who knows, man? Like hopefully hopefully somebody can see this one day. YouTube's a weird thing, man, because like you never know who's going to see something, how it's going to come across to them, and they might be a runt athlete, not really getting opportunity. They might have some things going on in their lives that, they need some kind of affirmation on some stuff. They might not understand why they're going through what they're going through, and they might need to hear like, hey dude, like, I've gone through the exact same thing. You're not alone in this, and here's how you get the most out of this opportunity. So you never know who needs to hear something, and hopefully I can assist in that. So anyways, that's my story. Episode 3, glory stories, is not episode 3. This is like sub bonus content. Just something to maybe hold y'all over until I get to episode 3. But first hint for the guest of episode 3 has been dropped on my Instagram, so you can go check that out. I'm not going to reveal who it is, probably a week from today. So if you're interested, follow along with that, man, because I would be shocked if somebody can guess who guest 3 is. But it will be possible. So you just got to pay attention. You got to know your stuff. So, anyways, episode 3 will be launched, or it will air uh, Saturday, August 2nd. So keep your antennas up for that. Appreciate you guys. Like, share, subscribe. Does a world of good for me. I appreciate it. Keeps this train rolling. So we'll catch you guys on the next one. Appreciate you.